Well, like a good reporter, I don't want to put stuff out there that is, bad or wrong. And so I want to do a clear up on the Dayton Audio Ultimax. So the older Ultimax selling were $249, and that's the one I clicked on. Sorry, these all look the same to me. But the one that I should have told you about was the version 2 that one. And that's what it looks like, and that's the thumbnail that I used. But let's go through this anyway, since you guys were so, most of it was positive. So, but I do find it kind of funny. Let's see. Booming bass, improved excursion, meticulously engineered. I don't know about that. 22 millimeter X Max. With a 4-layer, 3-inch flat wound voice coil. So it says 4-layer, which I don't think it is. I think it's only 2-layer. And then it says flat wound. It doesn't say copper or aluminum. So that might explain why I was like, fuck this. It says it's equipped to handle up to 800 RMS, which is about what it is. So when I looked at the gap, I was like, this is a really thin either 3-inch gap or this is a 2.75. So, and then let's go down and look at the, it says carbon fiber cone, but I think it's glass fiber. Carbon fiber just has a different look to it. And if you're going to do it, you might as well polish it. That's all I'm saying, is it's probably just glass fiber, but a lot of people get that confused, and nobody's really going to call out Dayton for getting it wrong. I'll say that. I don't think they're being misleading. I just think there's a lot of people that don't give a shit. That's all. Voice coil diameter 3-inch. Yeah, that sounds more like what I was looking at. I think the RMS is actually higher than that, but they're claiming 800. Built for extension. That is not true. Sealed enclosures as small as one. That's more on target. Here's a good cutaway. That looks pretty. I'll use this as the thumbnail on the new one, on the new video you guys are watching. Double spiders. It shows here that the spiders are actually the same width, that they're actually on the same platform, which is interesting. Large aluminum shorting cap. So they're saying that this is just an aluminum slug on top. That's what I was looking at, where they just glued it on top. I was like, this is weird. Why would they just glue that on top? Now, if this is for cooling or something like that, that's fine, but it's saying it's a shorting cap. Again, I don't know how putting a slug of aluminum on top of the motor does anything other than maybe provide a cooling surface, something that can dissipate the heat better than steel can. Steel absorbs heat really, really good, but it has trouble getting rid of the heat. It's a very good conductor of heat. Single layer carbon fiber diaphragm. Does it talk about their paper base? No, it does not talk about the paper base. Extended butyl rubber surround. It's not tall boy anymore. Spring-loaded terminals, under spider venting, vented butthole, voice coil cap venting, aluminum shorting sleeve. Yeah, so it looks like they put a ring on this side too, which again doesn't really do anything. It just causes problems. Flat, well, right there it says flat wound copper voice coil. So I'm going to go ahead and do a burn test on that voice coil to see if it's copper or aluminum. I don't know. I don't. This is all just garbage. I can just tell. Flat wound voice coil. The flat ribbon wire has significantly more surface area and contact area. That is not true. Round wire actually has more surface area. So it's like corrugated. All that surface area counts. When it's flat, there's less surface area. Again, I don't know why they say that. I think that's just old. Somebody used that as a marketing ploy, and then they just keep like I've talked about with stuffing in the enclosure. It's just a misunderstanding of lore and people, like flat Earth. There we go. So okay, there's a couple reasons for flat Earth, and I don't mean to go on a tangent like this, but there was somebody else in the news the other day that was trying to find the edge of the Earth, and they fucking failed. So, okay, there's two things that it started out with the flat Earth, which was there's actually a guy, a scientist, whatever, that said there was a flat Earth, and what he did was he was really rich, and he set up a trust. And he said, members of the trust, people that believe that there's a flat Earth, get money. So what happened was people started really trying to get some of that money. It had nothing to do with the Earth being flat. It had to do with getting money. The problem is the trust is like, oh shit, we were keeping this for ourselves. And so the Flat Earth Society, doesn't want to take any more members anymore. So, so then it became like a meme where people were trying to really promote it and make people seem and believe that there's a flat Earth, and people are gullible, and so if you look it up in the dictionary, look up the word gullible in Webster's dictionary, and you'll find a mirror. So, but somebody tried to go off the edge of the Earth, and then just they're like, we're gonna drown, we're running out of food because we're out in the middle of the ocean. Let's see. In order to ensure optimal performance and minimize distortion, the voice coil is driven by a FEA optimized magnet assembly. Again, FEA that just means you went through a simulator. That's all. It doesn't mean anything. This assembly creates a powerful and symmetric magnetic field in the center of the voice coil, which is what all woofers do. Even at maximum displacement, the top and back plates have been precisely machined, good, with sculpted edges, sculpted, to effectively contain and transfer the magnetic force, the flux, to prevent overheating the motor. Bullshit. And then there's the butt plug. So this did not seem like aluminum. This seems like steel, but maybe I'll take a chunk out of this one. So, but again, the gap is just tight, and it doesn't need to be tight. But I'll see. I wish I had my Slim Jim coils. My Slim Jim coils were a copper version, a copper solution that I had for some of the thinner gaps, like the old T5 from Soundstream. So for a minute, we were running into a bunch of those. The other thing it works good on is the JL Audio 12W7. And what it does is it provides just a better roll-off in ported boxes and more low frequency production. It just works better. It's nicer. Now, if anything, I would do and it's a 4-layer copper, and it's actually pretty heavy. It's a lot heavier than the aluminum one, and I liked that. So the only thing I would probably change to it is use a Kapton. It's Kapton. Another. Where is it? Where did that? I found that story. Where is it? Kapton is another DuPont invention from the evilest corporation in the world, and it's used by JL not for its electromagnetic properties, but because number one, it's cheap, and number two, it allows them to use their goofy mounting spider clamp system that's unnecessary. And sometimes when you use a clamping system like that is not exact, the coil will be a little misaligned, and normally it would rub and ring if it was made of aluminum, but because it's made of a weird fiberglass, it doesn't ring. Again, if everybody liked Kapton, if Kapton was so great, everybody would use it. Let's see. Achieving truly linear. Oh, this probably gets into the double spiders. Yeah. Again, that you don't need double spiders to get linear. Again, you want to this lever point, which is the surround, and the spider. The further apart those two are, that's going to help you be linear. Not this bullshit. This doesn't matter. I think that was it. Oh, sealed, 1 cubic foot, vented, 2.5. That's still too big. Let's go back to the specs real quick. Let me go down here to the specs and look at the specs real quick, so I can tell more from the actual TSPs. FS is 31. QTS is 0.56. That means it works well in sealed or ported. Compliance is 1.8. So it looks like they went with a softer spider on this one. Softer suspension because the VAS is larger. So what all that means is, again, the VAS tells you how many cubic feet of air sealed that you need to reach 31 hertz, the FS. Okay, as a reasonable, I'm sure it's like negative, it's minus 3 dB roll off or whatever, something or minus 3 dB or something like that. Anyways, read the loudspeaker cookbook and correct me. I would love to know. But these two are related. QTS is not really related. QTS just more tells you, it's a shortcut number that tells you what this enclosure or what this subwoofer is going to be good in, what kind of enclosure. Typically when it has a lower QTS, like below 0.5, 0.5 is right in the middle. So anything lower than 0.5, you want to put it in a sealed box. And typically that indicates that the VAS is quite large. And one of the reasons the VAS is quite large is that it has both. It could be one or the other or both, which is a sloppy, floppy, soft, very high compliant suspension, and or a small magnet. Not a lot of flux, not a lot of motor force. Those two factors right there are what gives the VAS its compliance. Now, that makes it larger or smaller, and what that does is it affects the QTS, the total Q. And if you look on when they do the sweep, and I will buy a new what is ever the TSP meter thing or whatever the new one they call it, unless I can find my WT3. If I can find my WT3, then I'll get a laptop this time and I'll put a Windows XP on it and use that forever and piss everybody off. BL product is a little bit higher on this one, which is 14 Tesla meters squared, but again, it should really be in the 20s to be proper, but it's not. I think that maybe they use shitty ferrite or something like that. I don't know why. Again, I don't sit there and tell people how to. I can make a recommendation. I can tell you what I've seen on other products. But anyways, what I was saying is the QTS, the higher it is, the more controlled it is. And I know that's probably a little opposite of what you've been hearing, but if you look on the sweep, a high QTS driver, meaning anything above 0.55, 0.6, you'll start to see a shrink in the peak, small bump. That means, and that bump, how big that bump is going to tell you how uncontrolled at FS the driver is. Lack of damping. So a high QTS, meaning like, let's go as high as 1. A QTS of 1, as in 1.0, is going to have a very, very small bump, meaning it's very controlled even at FS. Now, if you take a soft, like mid, or one of those old 90s shitty woofers where they were calling it SQ or whatever, and they're like, oh, you got to have a low QTS, blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. Let's say you have a QTS of 0.3. What you're going to see is a really violent, tall peak at the FS. That is highly uncontrolled, highly violent, undampered, uncontrolled. That's bad. You don't want that. You want control. And that's, you only really get control if you have a lot of magnet force, a lot of BL. And typically that's what people really like. Now, if you take a really high BL woofer, like an Orion HCCA using the TC9 motor, and you put it in a sealed box, oh my God, is it super crisp and high performing? Yes, but then you can't play low on it. See how there's always a compromise. So, but we'll talk about that more later. I think that was about it. Maximum linear excursion 22. Again, let's look at I think, what did I measure it at? 50 millimeter wine height. That's the way to do. Coil material, carbon fiber. Not so sure about that. Surround material, rubber. Voice coil material, copper. Oh yeah, let's do the flame test. Let me go grab a lighter. Well, we got all our fucking lighters from Dollar Tree, and they don't work. So I think I got to pull out the safety thing. It's like the same thing you have to do on the gas cans nowadays. They make them completely useless so that you have to break them in order to use them. And when you break them, what you do is you take responsibility. You void the warranty, so that way they have no responsibility over the gas can, because they've always had so many what do you call it, lawsuits based on, you know, how a gas can should be, or what it is or what it isn't. So, but here we go. Let's get this. So the idea is that you basically torch this. You can do this with Cat 5. That's what I usually do with Cat 5. Whenever I buy Cat 5, I try to buy the copper just because it lasts longer. It has, it's more malleable than the aluminum. It can bend more. And I also typically buy the stranded version instead of the solid core. And then I'll keep, like, you know, if especially if like MCM or electronics or somebody like that had a special on like something nobody uses, which is a preformed, you know, meaning there's ends on both ends, 100-foot Cat 6 cable. And then what you do is you just cut the tip off, strip off some of the ends, and then you can lighter test it. And if it goes up real easy, then it's aluminum. If it takes a little bit, then it's typically copper. So, just so you know, Cat 5 and Cat 6 cable, especially the stranded copper, that makes some of the best signal cable you can buy. Best signal cable you can buy. It's like 24 gauge. It doesn't need to be even 18 gauge. It's for signal. It doesn't need to be big. I can't tell you about that enough. You guys are overpaying for RCAs, especially if you do custom RCAs. Just get a Cat 5 cable. You can take off the outer sleeve. Now the wires will be really small, but it's fine. But that makes some of the best signal cable you can possibly buy. Period. Hang on. Let me get this lighter working. Well, now it really won't work. So I think you're supposed to pull up on that little metal thing, and but I was pulling up on it and I still couldn't hear any gas come out. So let's just try matches. All right, we have a flame. So let's go ahead and watch. Oh, fuck. Second match broke and fell on the ground. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's. I don't know for sure. There we go. It melted a little too easy, but that might be because the copper is thin. The other way to tell is to grind it a little bit and see if it's silver underneath. If it's silver underneath, then it's aluminum. And if it's coppery, then it's copper. It's one thing I cannot complain about in prison was that emery boards were really cheap. Like, they made you buy a 10-pack, and it was like 30 cents for a 10-pack. I was like, that's crazy. So I keep an emery board for my big toes because they grow all retarded. Let me scratch this up real quick, and then we'll go from there. Not real coppery. So, again, not that... and now, see, well, now it's got me curious. Not because I think that Dayton is trying... Oh, hold on. Gracie wants to get up on the bed. Oh, baby, she can't quite get up on the bed. Oh, there we go. Again, it's not so much that I think they're trying to get one over on you. I think, again, just people don't care. Or that China screwed up, or the designer screwed up, or somebody screwed up and didn't put the right, information on there. That's what I'm concerned about. And then because it's like, it's like finding a used condom in your girlfriend's butthole. You're like, I don't use condoms. It's like, technically you don't know what happened, but that's a little, sus, as they say. The other one is the number of layers, which I'm looking at. Let me pull these off real quick, and we can tell if it's 2-layer or 4-layer. No, it's just 2-layer. Again, it's... How do I say this? It's not that I'm calling them a liar. I'm saying that the information is incorrect on the website as compared to reality. That's what I'm saying. And so the problem with that is that you start doubting what else is incorrect. Again, they're going to put The only thing you can do as a mail order, recipient or whatever, interactor, consumer, is go by the specs that they print. And pray to baby Jesus that what they are printing is the truth. So another one to look at is if they have a frequency response for the TSPs. And the other one is that you don't know if China or whoever did the test had the right sample. See, that's the other problem. And that's one of the things that I like about what I did. But again, nobody's going to hand make a woofer for you and then show you, do a video and then jerk off and then put their semen inside of it somewhere so that you have their DNA and then do a video and show the TSPs. Nobody's going to do that. Not even me. So, but again, it's just one of those things where if they do know, which I would guess that they do know, they don't think anybody's going to do this type of review, this type of scrutiny on their product. And even if they are, most of the people will get mad and feel like I'm hating on Dayton Audio or the douchebag that they use for as their engineer. And so again, I just want to show you the things, and these aren't bad things. They're just kind of, it's difficult to trust somebody when they consistently lie. That's all I'm saying. So I would give some feedback to Parts Express. If you bought one, this would definitely be grounds for a class action lawsuit because it's misleading advertising. So, and then, also, is this carbon fiber or is this glass fiber? And then you could argue that, well, both materials are carbon based. There's all kinds of arguments that you can make for stuff like that. And you got to understand that this is for the semi-educated public who just wants a good deal on something that has been designed for what they want to use it for. So, and a lot of people have a problem using, say, a car woofer, right? Because that's been designed for the car, and using it for home theater. But if you know what you're looking at, again, if you have a low FS in the low 30s, high 20s, it's going to be good for car audio. It's going to be good for home audio. It'll even be good for boat. So again, that's what's going to give you that low bass that you like, that low frequency response. So I think that was it. Let's real quick to find out if they did again, they port their box too low. At 2.5 cubic foot and then at 26 hertz, that's way too low. Again, for home theater, that might be okay. Because you only need like 100 watts. And this thing will take 100 watts all day long. I'm not seeing... Usually they have a link to a PDF. There it is. Sorry, I need a little more RAM for... This is Sherry's computer. Mine's still out of commission. Opening document 100%. All right, let's get on with it. There we go. Loading. There we go. That's what we're looking at. So, what is it? It's Control Plus. And then we can see the FS is at right around just above 30. What did they say? 31? So 31, 32. And again, this graph may be the sample. It may not be what actually went into production. So we don't know that. And it still says 3-inch flat wound 4-layer copper. So we know it's flat wound. That's correct. Is it 4-layer? No, it's 2-layer. Is it copper? No, it's aluminum. So again, I would love to see the TSPs on this done in real time after break-in, and that's why I do what I do on the woofer porn videos. What I figured out was that I just make a video of the natural test and break-in process that I do on the woofer, every woofer, and then show the TSPs to show you guys that they're all pretty much the same for the most part. See, and there's your frequency response, and you'll cut it off at 100. That'll roll off at 12 dB per octave, depending on your filter. And then here's the rest of it. So, and then I would love to see what I think they should have done is done the frequency response and then shown the recommended boxes of what the response would look like. And you do one like in green, like sealed in green, and then ported in red or something like that. That's just mine. But you can see here they used Omni mic, I'm sure with permission, and then it also shows Clipple. Dual 2-ohm voice coils, all specifications measurable voice coils wired in series at 70% BL. Which is not at 2.83 volts. 70% of BL, that's actually a little bit more energy. So again, it's just inconsistencies in, and also lack of education. Because like a company like Dayton Audio or even Parts Express, they don't really care. They think you nerds like all this information, and they share this with you. They used to not share this with you. Mostly because it's overwhelming for a lot of people, and it is. I hear you, but you know, people get smart over time, and they learn stuff, and so that's why I'm hoping that you guys watch my videos is to learn stuff, and maybe do better for yourself. Anyways, my still overall is not buy, it's pass. I'd rather have you get something that uses more available parts, like a SCAR DDX or a SCAR EVL, or even a Sundown, what was it, the SA Classic, something like that, that you can buy parts from pretty easy at either Lord of Bass or somebody else, if anybody else is offering parts out there. But anyways, that's my revised review on the Dayton Audio Ultimax II 12-inch dual 2-ohm subwoofer. Thanks for watching.